In this video, we're going to be making some texture skins from leaves. And I've got 3 donor leaves here, and the first step is I need to mount these to this piece of wood somehow. And actually, even before we do that, let me just point out. So if you inspect the leaf closely, one side there's impressions. The other side there is raised edges. This is the side which has the raised edges. The raised edges we want facing upwards right now because we want to get the maximum amount of texture. So that's very important. All of the leaves will have that. One side will be kind of like divots and impressions, but the other side there will be a lot more texture of the fingers and veining. So that's what I want. I want that facing upwards. So we'll just do a quick spray here. Some spray adhesive to the back side. So we need to let this set up for about 10 minutes, so I'll see you back shortly. That should be plenty of time for the spray adhesive to set up. So let's take a look and see. I'm not sure how well those leaves are going to grab on there, but we'll just take a look. Pretty good. I'm happy with that. They're not curling at the edges. That's kind of what I was trying to avoid, was the curling at the edges, and happy enough with that. So we have some options here as to how to go about getting these textures, and I'm going to be using silicone, type 1 silicone. Clear, white, doesn't matter, as long as it's type 1. There's other types out there. Perhaps there's, other people that have, ways that work with those, but the only ones that I'm familiar with are type 1 silicone for applications like this. So that's what I'm going to stick with. Before I can apply a silicone to this, I'm going to need to do something to these leaves to protect them from the silicone and to create a layer of some kind so that the silicone itself can be removed from it when it's cured. You could potentially jump straight to a universal mold release spray. You could do that. It probably would work. I'm going to go an extra step here. I'm going to use a Sunite wax. It's basically just a soft brushable wax product. I'm going to brush it on here, going to let that dry, then I'll apply the universal mold release over that, then I will apply the silicone over top of that. And notably, it's cold in here today. I'm not sure what the exact temperature is, but if it were any colder in here, you'd be able to see my breath right now. So it's pretty cold. And this wax is still soft enough that I can just use a little brush to mix it up. I don't want too much here as I do this. And I'm just going to, the leaf is already glued in place, but I'm just going to make sure it doesn't move as I apply this. And go ahead and apply some of this wax to the whatever, like I've used a piece of wood here, but whatever you've got this leaf mounted to, go ahead and apply some of this wax in an area around that as well, because we're going to want to be able to pull the silicone clean from that later. We don't want to lose the texture here, so it's important to apply this light, not too heavy. Now these leaves have been dried and pressed flat between two pieces of wood already, but even still, you know, they curl up just a little bit. And so you have to kind of fight it a little bit. All right. Now, let that set up before I apply the release agent. Once I apply the release agent, gotta let that set up too. So it's a whole bunch of like prepare, wait, prepare, wait. That's kind of the process of doing these castings here. But it's going well so far. So when we get there, we're going to use a silicone. There's even, let's just talk about that for a second, because there are some options here in terms of silicone. 3 options. 1, straight out of the gun in terms of like how much we're going to, or how we're going to use it, the consistency, and are we going to do any prep work to it. 1 is nothing. We just do nothing. Just squeeze it right out of the tube, either onto what you're working on or like into a container where you can like spoon it out. Now, working with liquid silicone straight out of the tube like that is not easy to do. It's pretty messy. It sticks to basically everything. So it could be used right out of the tube, and it's possible that I could spread it around in such a way that I would be able to get all of the voids out. I don't want voids. I don't want air pockets. Things like that will ruin a casting like this. I want it to be relatively void free. So you have to like apply some force or use a relatively thin viscosity, something like this. But the tube, you know, right out of the tube, it's pretty thick. It's not thin. And so you're going to have to apply some force, but it's hard and it sticks to everything and it makes a big mess. So it's not my favorite, but it's on the table as an option. Depending on what you're doing, maybe you could just use the silicone right out of the tube. Then the 2 ways that I prefer are to augment the silicone. 1 is to thin it out. So it's a very thin, almost pourable, self-leveling viscosity. The other is to thicken it with an actuator, cornstarch, such that the silicone can be thicker and still cure. Notably with silicone, you can't just like make it thick, any thickness you want, and wait longer and it'll cure. It doesn't work like that. It needs the oxygen to cure, and when it skins over on the outside, the oxygen can't get to the stuff on the inside. The stuff on the inside just remains liquid forever, and that's not what you want from a silicone perspective or a mold making perspective. So in the sense that when you're doing an application where you need it to be thicker, you can use cornstarch. Mix cornstarch and you make like a silly putty kind of consistency or Play-Doh consistency versus the really sticky consistency right out of the tube versus the really thin consistency that you can get if you mix your silicone with mineral spirits. So those are our 3 options to work with. And really, I think any one of the 3 could work here. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for the thinning approach, and I'm going to not take it to like a self-leveling thin. I'm going to thin it from the substance that it is coming out of the tube, but not all the way to like that water-thin consistency. And that should allow me to place this and kind of just, you know, tap the piece of wood to get the material to consolidate in such a way that there shouldn't be any voids. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's the approach that I'm going to take here. But first, I just have to wait for this wax to set up. So I guess I'll see you back shortly. So I just noticed that because it's so cold in here, I'm getting brush strokes in the wax where I don't normally find that's a problem. Um, but I see it being a problem now. So I'm going to flash this stuff really quick. Obviously, I don't want to burn the leaves, which would be easy to do. Very easy to do. They're really hard to see, but when I get my old eyes really close up there, I can see the brush strokes. And you can probably see the glossiness when I touch it with the flame. It's starting to lose the stickiness to the board, but I'm not sure you'd have to do that in any kind of warm or hot environment because it's not something that I typically have to do when I work with that product. But in this, again, it's pretty cold in here right now. That seems to have helped. I'm just going to leave it at that. Again, give this a little bit to set up, and then we're going to go ahead, mix and apply our thinned layer of silicone. here we are back 24 hours later. I think these guys are set up. Here, I'll show you them once before I start to remove them. Whew, even just passing this by my face like that, they still smell very strongly. And so the goal will be to remove them from the board, remove the leaf from the silicone by destroying it usually, and then wash these with soap and water. A little bit of warm soap and water, and gently wash the silicone. That'll help a lot to get rid of the smell. Let's see if I can get this started here. Okay. I think just washing it right in the water is going to be the ticket. So I'll just peel them all and then we'll go wash them off. All right. These are not going to come out of there easily. And I can tell, they haven't ruined it yet, but I can feel these are so fragile. So definitely need to be careful. I was unsure whether I wanted the stem or not as part of the leaf casting, so I decided to give it a shot, because I can always just cut that off if I don't like or use that, which I probably won't. But let's go wash these off, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. And here we are back with the leaves washed, all the material removed from them. They have excellent texture. I think that it's worth noting, so these are like an indent versus like a bump. So you would fill this with mortar, and if I wanted to make a stamp with these, really what I should do now is these are reverses, and I should apply another layer of Sunite wax and another layer of universal mold release and mix some more thinned down silicone and pour the one silicone into the other silicone, and now I will have a stamp that I can press. That's the idea with something like this. That being said, it's so fine and shallow in terms of like, it's not a deep mold or impression that would be hard to make. And so in this instance, I think that I'm just going to keep these as is. I don't believe that I need to go the extra step here to make a reverse of this. I do think it would benefit me to trim the leaf a little bit. After washing with soap and water, they smell less, but they still smell. So I'm going to just leave these outside to cure for a period of time and see if they don't lighten up in terms of the off-gassing. The stems for most of these are just too fine. These are very small leaves and the stems are extremely fine. Pretty cool. Oh, that'll work really nicely. Excellent. And I like that I have a couple different sizes and styles for the leaves here. This one will be more challenging. Oh, to have young eyes again. Alas, I do not. And oh yeah, there I can see it. Maybe you can see it too. Very neat. There is a good amount of texture in there. Like all of that delicate veining that a leaf has, it's pretty much got all of it there. Oh boy. Okay. I've been doing this for a little while, and I kind of forgot that I'm filming, and I'm a little worried that I've been making dumb faces the whole time. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just my normal dumb face. I'm trying to figure out what I can hold this against to give you some sort of appreciation for the textures in it. So dark colors, something dark. Pretty cool. Need to be cleaned up just a little bit more. That one, that one, and that one. So with this set, I can now make kind of like an autumn themed, like check out this bad boy right here. So if I just troweled this smooth as I was finishing the cement, use a release agent onto here and here, I could now take my leaf pattern and press it in. You know the out of the gumball machines when you're a kid, the like hands and they're sticky and they like stick to stuff. I feel like this might be part of that. Okay, making a fool out of me. I was just trying to say it's sticky, is what I was trying to say. Here we are back 24 hours later with our large leaf silicone casting. Now it did level out a little bit there and it got onto some of the areas of the board that didn't have the wax on it. But I'm pretty sure it should heal up nicely, as long as you're careful with it. Leave that part to the end. The silicone will tear if you're not careful. I'm just going to, because all this extra stuff gets cut away anyway, so I'm going to see if I can't surgically remove this leaf. A chunk. A whole chunk. It's like a treat when you get a chunk. That is 90+% of the leaf removed. When I use this for pressing in, I'll just a little bit of soap and water to clean this up before you use it for the first time will help to remove this final little bit of organic debris and also help to remove this. It's got a very strong odor at this stage. Obviously you can't smell that, but I can. And washing it with some soap and water will help a little bit with that too. Remove some of that, but there we go. We have a large leaf casting made with silicone. I will see you back at another time where we can use these and make some texture imprints from our leaf castings. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you're going to learn a ton about how to work with concrete.